Okay. All praises and honor give to Mudimo, the creator of all things. My name is Brother Moapare, and greetings to all of you, my Bantu brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Okay. In today's video, it's titled "The Bible is Tswana, Sotho, Bantu, History and Culture," and this is part 3. So if you haven't seen part 1 and 2, I will encourage you to do so. But just to recap on what we have spoken, we have discussed the first fruits, which is called the kafela. We have discussed circumcision, bohwera. We have discussed a practice that is mentioned in Genesis chapter 38, where we highlighted Judah's children, the one who was to marry the older brother's who was deceased, the wife, and the practice in Tswana, in Sotho, is called Seyantlo. We discussed child purification, where Mary, the wife of Joseph, had to wait the time period where she had to wait. We discussed that in the previous videos. We also discussed the widow's garments. Okay. Part 2, we discussed polygamy, weddings, the harvest, and the leftovers. Okay. As I think you remember Ruth and Naomi, and in the book of Ruth, the Boaz and all that. Okay. And also we discussed collective justice that is found among these people, that if you just if you steal, this pickpocketing just in the community in Botswana, if you try to do that kind of thing in Gaborone, there will be a collective justice. The people will cry out, there is a thief, and then people will just come to the rescue. Okay. All right, so in today's video, we are going to start with we're going to talk about the three-side system. Okay, what is the three-side system? Among our culture, you don't just have one place where you reside. No. Okay, you see that in New York and in other countries or places, London. Okay, the person has only one place of abode, or one residential place where they just stay there. They do not have ranches. They do not go like somewhere else. Of course, some cultures will have a holiday place and things like that. But in Botswana and among Botswana people, among the Sotho people, you will have your place, your residential place, maybe in town or in a village. Okay, and then you will also have the cattle post, moraka. Okay, morakeng. Okay, where you I think it's also another point to realize that if you look at the Bible, these people were keeping livestock. They were rearing animals, especially cow. Okay, so the cows and goats and sheep. So you can just see how the sacrifices they were doing. Okay, so the second side will be the cattle post, where you go marakeng. Okay, this is where you keep your animals and you rear your goats, your sheep, and all that. So the third side will be the masimo. We call it masimo. This is where you do your farming, growing crops. Okay, so now we're gonna just maybe pick one or two scriptures to highlight this culture and practice. Okay, so we all know the story of what Joseph and Mary and all that. Let's just read some of the few of these things. Okay, I'll take it from verse 3. Okay, so there's a decree of Caesar Augustus, and then so they are asked to population census. Okay, so it says verse 4 and verse 3, and all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, into the city of David, which is called Bethlehem. Okay, so we see that, so Bethlehem and Nazareth. Okay, so this is there wasn't just one place that they had. Okay, and especially that if you read in verse 8, and there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. So probably that place must have been a cattle post, like cattle post, a place where shepherds will be having their animals there. Okay, so that's point number one. Okay, that is the culture of Botswana. Okay, and then if you also look at, we can discuss Ruth as well, that and Boaz, and that these people, it's an example of another side, because that one is the field where they were planting their crops. Okay, all right, so the Botswana has the 3 side systems. Okay, where you have a village or town, you have or city, and then you have a cattle post, and you also have the field. Okay, cattle post, you are rearing animals, your small livestock, or your big life, your cows and all that, or then the third last site is there where you plant your crops. Okay, all right, let's continue. Okay, so the second point that we want to mention here is the what Botswana and Basotho call the Kotla system. Okay, this is the governing structure. Okay, so in their communities. Okay, so now this Kotla system, there is the, you will have the what do you call it, you will have the chief, okay, of the village who presides over that, and the chief will have obviously assistants. Okay, and so normally you will have this system where judgments are made, decisions are taken. For example, the decisions to tell the community where you are to, now it's time for Letsema, that is that it's now time to go and plant. Okay, you also see that when we discussed the other point where we were talking about in the previous video, that Dikafela, okay, where we mentioned Moshate, where the people were to bring those first fruits, okay, in the capital city. Okay, so in this case we know it is Jerusalem, the so-called lost city of the Kalahari. Okay, so we know that the true Jerusalem, it's in southern Namibia in the Kalahari Desert. Okay, so yeah, so the Botswana, Basotho have what is called a Kotla system. Okay, so where you have that kind of structure. So perhaps maybe we also see that there will be places that are called Botshabelo. Okay, Botshabelo. So if you look at these places of Botshabelo, you also have overseers. So this is where you see Moses when he accidentally killed one of the people who was striving with another. So he left. Okay, remember this was a commandment that have places of Botshabelo. So a lot of places among the these people, they are named Botshabelo. Why are they called Botshabelo? They are called Botshabelo because that was a commandment by our Heavenly Father to these people that, if there is an accident, this is not premeditated murder. You just didn't go up in the morning, being resolved that, okay, I'm going to kill so and so. No, that is not the case. But maybe while you are working, there was some accident, okay, that was not intended. A person will then flee away to these places called Botshabelo, okay, and in these places this is where you will find refuge, okay. These are the places where you will find refuge, so that you could not be prosecuted or that for a certain period, and then after that period you will come back, or you could be allowed to come back. So in the case of Moses, we know in the case of Moses, but we also know in other scriptures, okay. All right, so if you read 2 Samuel chapter 14, you will get an understanding of what we are talking about, that there were designated cities or places, or in Botswana we call them Botshabelo, okay, or the places where they are called Botshabelo. This is where if somebody had killed somebody accidentally, okay, so they will go to those places. There will be overseers to ensure that, okay, that person, he will come with whatever issues that they have done, but then they will find some kind of leniency, okay. All right, so that is second point, the quota system, where you will have the quota system, the chiefs, where there will be cases that are judged. There will be offerings that they received, like we spoke about the first fruits, like the kafela and all that, okay. So maybe we can move on to another point, okay. All right, so the third point is on the burial, okay. Of course, there will be designated places where the people are buried, but we know that the scriptures highlights those places, like it could be a kraal, it could be a cave and all that, but I wanted to focus on the days, okay, of mourning, okay. So if you read the scriptures, we know that the mourning, when you mourn, it takes a couple of days, especially when you're mourning for the leader, okay. We have seen like, for example, Genesis 50 verse 3 talks about, and for 40 days were fulfilled for him, and so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed, and all that, okay. So you go to Genesis 50 verse 4, where they were mourning for a very long period of time, and okay, if you go to Genesis 50:10, they were mourning for about 10 days and all that, okay. Numbers 20 verse 29, and when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel, okay. So we among the Botswana, people, this is a tradition where especially the leader, you mourn for a month, for a period of 10 days or 30 days. Okay, I remember that when the first president of Botswana was died, there were, it took about 30 days of mourning, okay, before they got buried. Okay, so that is the third point where we discuss the culture of these people, that they're mourning for their leaders, for their respectable men. Okay, all right. The fourth point is on inheritance. Okay, all right. On the inheritance part, now Botswana has a tendency, and the Basotho has a tendency, that the youngest child, okay, inherits the family home. Okay, now if you look at in the scriptures, you recall that David, I think, perhaps, maybe, I suspect it must have started with David. That David, you remember that he was what do you call it, the youngest, and yet he received, he was given. That is why David, in the previous video, we said his true name is Moabedui. Okay, normally this root word is not normally used, DWI. Okay, no wonder some people, they are saying it's David. No, it's not David. The name is Moabedui. Okay, what does Moabedui mean? Okay, look at those videos. So it talks about somebody who is given or who receives. In the case of David, it was receiving the kingdom, as he becomes the king. Okay, and now you will also see that David was the youngest, because as they were looking for the children of David's father, the prophet kept on saying, no, this is not the one, no, this is not the one, up until there was the youngest, who was again also the point of other than the cattle post. Okay, then the David then received, or was anointed to rule over. So again, the second one also, if you look at Solomon, okay, Solomon was not even the firstborn. Okay, yet he received this inheritance. Okay, so the youngest seems to be controlling the according to Tswana and Sotho. The youngest is called Hofejane kana Hohejwane. Okay, that is the youngest who inherits. This is our culture. This is what we do, that you give the youngest one these things. If you also if you look at Joseph, for example, Joseph was younger than his brothers. What was he given? Okay, even his father loved him. Jacob loved Joseph, and Joseph was even given, you remember, the coat of many colors. Okay, so this is what Joseph was given. If you also look at Ephraim, okay, Ephraim also was blessed more than more than Manasseh, or he was somehow the youngest, and yet he received more blessings than Manasseh. Okay, but also, if you remember, also Esau was the eldest, and what happened? The younger one, Jacob, was the one who received more than the. So in Tswana, Sotho, you have this tendency of the youngest giving to given a lot of they inherit a portion, a bigger portion of the inheritance. So hohejane, okay. So then you also see that the hohejane becomes more laudi, like David. Okay, so they are the ones who chooses and controls the inheritance. Okay, this one will receive this one will receive this, and so on and so forth. So this is just how it is among these people. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to highlight is the thing of totems. Okay, totems. Okay, so this being the fifth point. Okay, totemism. Okay, so in Tswana Sotho, somehow, if I just break the English, or if I just directly translate, they say ubina ing. Okay, what are you dancing? Okay, or in other words, what is your totem? Okay, so some people will say, no, my totem is lion, my totem is it goes on and on and on. If you look at the 12 tribes of Israel in Genesis chapter 49, okay, they were being compared to a donkey, maybe hardworking, or you are like a lion, you are like a this and that and that and that. Okay, so we see the theme here among these people, totemism. Okay, totemism. All right. The sixth point that I want to show is the parables. If you look at the parables of the Savior, it's just throughout. So in Setswana, in Sotho, you have proverbs. Okay, so many proverbs. You have metaphors. You have maele. They call them maele, wherein you can tell a story, an illustration. If you look at David, who had just I think David with Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah. Okay, so when the prophet came, he wasn't direct. He started telling a story. Okay, so these are the DNA, where you get proverbs, where you get metaphors, where you get parables. Okay, so there was a parable given to David. He was the king, and the prophet came and told him, imagine that this rich man who has everything, so many things, and he sees the poor guy, and he just goes with one sheep or one goat or whatever one animal, and then he just goes and gets that one thing. You see, because David there, he had many wives, he was rich, he was wealthy, and the prophet asked David, so what do you think should be done to this wealthy rich person? So David then judged himself, and then the prophet told him that, oh, okay, you are the one who went to this one man, he had only one wife, and you took it away, from you took his wife, and you also took his life. Okay, so we in Tswana, they have parable, the parables. Okay, so all right, so let me just pause here. So in the next video, we'll probably continue part 4. We'll be discussing more on the customs. Okay, the customs of these people. We'll talk about the dressing, the greetings, the dowries, we can even discuss if you notice the traditional doctors. Okay, notice that there is this casting of lots. Okay, so it's very, very interesting. I want you to stay tuned to our channel, and subscribe, and look forward to some of these wonderful topics as we demonstrate to you that indeed the Bible is Tswana Sotho culture. These people are hidden. These are the hidden ones. Okay. All right. Okay. So once again, my name is Brother Moa Pare, and hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Okay.